she said, I got to talk to you. And she sat down with me, and we've been together for 16 years. I've always been straight up dedicated 100%. And she said to me, she goes, I met someone online and I'm leaving this weekend to go see him.
So thank you, Max, for jumping on the podcast. Introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your story.
Awesome. Thank you. My name is Max from upstate New York. I'm up here in the true New York area. We're not talking like the city part. We're talking like way up an hour from Canada. And we're in what they call the Adirondack Park. So we're way up here in the freezing cold area. But anyways, boy, where to begin here? So it's a crazy story. You know, I'm sure a lot of guys go through it, and you know, you feel a little alone, I guess, but I know I'm not. But back in, I'll start from like the beginning. So we run two businesses. My technical ex-wife now and I own two businesses. We owned a wedding DJ company, and we own a small RV dealership.
Oh, no way.
And
That's awesome.
Yeah, so extremely busy. You know, I do admit that I'm a bit of a workaholic for sure. But you know, I think any person like myself, we're entrepreneurs. We're constantly working. We want to go for the higher goals or whatever, you know. And she was a stay-at-home mom for 12 years. We met rather young. She was like 17, 18 years old when we first met. And she wanted to get married right away. I made her wait 4 years. So, you know, back in, I would say, early part of the year, she really started to feel like she wanted to do more with her life and contribute to the family finances a little more. She was not very good at money at all. She was horrible with money. And many times, there was not a lot of arguments, but enough arguments to be like, you know, why do we spend this, or why do we get this? And, you know, she was the typical that had like, 15 subscriptions and just constantly spending money. And, you know, I would go off and with my weddings, I do charge a pretty good penny. I would do probably, I don't know, $5,000 to $8,000 on a weekend, and my account would be minus $100 on Monday.
Oh my God.
You know, so it was just really frustrating, and the burden I bared as a husband, a dedicated husband, really was like, okay, you know what, we had to pay this and we had to pay this, and she needed this and the kids needed this, so it's like, this is life, this is what you do, right? And they say love is blind. I really understand it now, what they mean by that. There really wasn't a lot of contribution from her end. I've had people argue with me saying that, she's a stay-at-home mom, so this is what she, you need to respect that. And I'm like, yeah, and she can't be off working, she's taking care of your kids. And I'm like, I get that, but I'm not saying she had to make money, but helping me manage the money would have been just as helpful.
So I was gonna say that the same thing, and then you just said it perfectly. Because she is a stay-at-home mom, she does. You have 4 kids. That is a job in itself. But all those subscriptions, you're spending money just loosely. You're not really knowing. You know what I mean? Like, there is an end. You gotta cap it somewhere. So
exactly, and that's the frustration that I had, was like, I'm busting my butt, and maybe I didn't show her as much affection as I should have. Maybe, I'm not quite sure. Still working all that out. So fast forward to the first endeavor she took. I bought her the Cricut machine, where you can kind of make your own shirts and things like that. She did absolutely nothing with that. I mean, she made a few mugs and shirts, but she completely wasted that. We ended up selling that. The one thing that and this is where I don't know if I messed up or not, and you'll notice I kind of blame myself sometimes, but I'm trying not to. She had mentioned that her sister made feet videos on, like, I guess those like OnlyFans type sites, and you make money from it. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm not very comfortable with it, because I mean, I'm a true like marriage guy. Like, this is my wife. I don't want to share. You are my woman, and but at the same time, I didn't want to discourage her from being herself and letting her explore her own avenues, and respecting her as a human, and as a woman, to do what she wants. But I asked for that respect back.
yeah.
So she did kind of take on that endeavor a little bit. And sadly, this is where the story begins. According to her, uh, so let me say this first. So in mid-August, we had a financial dispute. We're sitting down, we're talking about it, and I said, why does it seem like you're the one that lied to me about something? That's one thing. You'll know about. I tell you about her. That she was a major liar, a significant liar, and I've learned she is also a narcissist. I've kind of learned a lot about that. But anyways, I'm like, why does it seem like because you lied to me about the money situation? Why does it seem like you're not like trying for my forgiveness or say sorry or treat like I wouldn't say grovel, but like
Right.
show
Put in a
sympathy,
little
right?
effort. Yeah.
Right. And she said, I got to talk to you. And she sat down with me, and we've been together for 16 years. I've always been straight up dedicated 100%. And she said to me, she goes, I met someone online, and I'm leaving this weekend to go see him. My life fell apart.
I don't know
I'm
what I
like,
would do.
I,
I, I'd
I'll,
fucking
I'll,
lose
I'll,
it.
I'll tell you exactly. I'll tell you exactly what I did. I, I stood up. I freaked out. I
Yeah.
was desperate. I was losing it. I went outside my front door here. I grabbed this bar we have that we put on a door jam. She's always been like worried about having someone break into our house. I grabbed that thing and I went outside to my deck and I beat my railing until I bent that bar. And I hit it so hard that it bent this metal bar right in half because I was so lost and confused, and I went and stood by my truck and I'm crying because it's like this woman is my everything. I
Right.
mean, everything that the best word that I have ever had someone say is the investment that I had into her and my kids was everything. Like, I'm one of those guys that, like, I don't um I don't flirt with other women. I
Yep.
don't go out drinking and goggle at girls. She was my everything. She was a gorgeous blonde, a beautiful woman, and I loved her to death.
Yep.
So we kind of, once everything settled down, I threw my and I'll tell you straight up, I'm guilty of going through all the stages of things you're not supposed to do. The groveling, the crying, the complaining, the whining.
It,
I was desperate.
it's so hard not
I
to. You know what I mean? When that's your life and you see it crumbling, it's hard not to.
it really, you're absolutely right, and that's what it came down to. I was so like, I was losing everything. Like, at that point in time, like, I get, like, not that I would ever do it, but I get what people feel when they want to commit suicide.
Right.
Like, there's nothing to live for because she was my everything, right? So I convinced her not to go for a short time. We tried coming up with things that we could do to help each other, like, like, what do you need, and I'll listen to you more, and what can I do, or what can you do, and how can we communicate, like, really trying to make it adapt. But it always seemed like I was doing more of the work. So I think that went on for like maybe 2 weeks, and then we went out on a Wednesday night. I said, let's just go out, let's get away from the kids, let's go have a talk, let's go have a drink, let's just relax. Okay. um we ended up going to the local lake, sitting on the benches, and I said, "Can you just please just tell me what you're thinking, because you're not talking to me. You're barely doing anything." And she just kept saying, "I'm confused. I don't know what I want. I really like him, but I don't want to hurt you, and this, back and forth." So we had another kind of, not like a scream fight, but like an emotional crying fight. And she said she was gonna go, and she wasn't gonna go, and she was gonna go, and then finally she says to me, she goes, "I'm just gonna be honest with you. He bought me another plane ticket for this Thursday morning, and I really want to go."
So they've been still talking the whole time while you guys are trying to fix
The
your relationship.
the entire time,
Yep.
absolutely. And I asked her to stop talking to him.
Of course.
And there was even times I said, "Why don't you give me your phone, give me your code, just so you can prove to me you're being honest?"
Yep.
And she would say things like, "Well, if you trust me, you don't need to look at my phone."
And then that's what fucks it up right there, is like when they say stuff like that. And because now when you get into another relationship or anything else, it's like you're going to be questioning yourself because she told you she was being truthful. You were believing everything she said, and then it comes back and kicks you in the ass. It's like, damn, should I had flags up or whatever? That's
But that's what it is, and that's the thing. You're so blinded with desperation of being with that person that you don't even like want to see those red flags.
yeah,
You don't even acknowledge those red flags. And there was other little things that went on. Like when I would ask her detailed questions about like what happened, when did you meet, things like that, she would be like, "Well, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's over. It doesn't matter." And I'm like, "Well, it kind of does matter because like you hurt our relationship. Like that's something that hurt us." Um, so that Thursday morning, after our emotional disagreement, whatever it was that Wednesday night, she had come to the agreement she wasn't going to go. Great, no problem. So Thursday morning, um, I run the kids to town in the morning. I came back, brought her a nice coffee, just like I do every morning. I brought her a nice coffee every single morning. Even if I didn't have to go to town, I went to town and got her a nice coffee. Like that was my job, and that's what I did. Um, I come home and she's in the bathroom. She's already been showered, dressed, cleaned up, makeup on, and everything. And I'm going,
where
"You're
where are you
never,
going?
you're never. What are you doing?" And she says, "I'm just gonna go." Now, mind you,
Oh wow,
my 15-month-old son is sitting in the playpen right over here, and I'm like, what happened? We talked about this, um, and we had another little small dispute, and I'm like, you know what? Fine. I walked over, I grabbed the baby, I grabbed his blanket, I grabbed his bottle, and I walked out. Um, I took his car seat, I threw it in my truck, and I literally put him in the driver's seat of my truck, and I drove down to my dealership, which is only about 2 miles down the road. Um, and my colleagues and people who work for me down there, and they are super supportive. They held the
yeah.
baby for me while I broke down, and the whole time I'm trying to call her like, "Are you seriously going?" And she actually got in her car, she drove to the nearest city, she got on that plane, and she left.
Man,
Unbelievable, the betrayal
yeah.
and the frustration, the alone, everything. I mean, I'll be honest with you, and I can, a lot of people may relate with this, and I think I'll say it. I felt like all I wanted to do was sell everything, literally go get a 9 to 5 job and live like a hermit or a hobbit, whatever the term is, and just hide from the world and make enough money to take care of my kids, and that's it. Like
Yeah.
I felt like trash, right? So me being the good father, I still let the kids talk to her while she was out there screwing this other
Now,
guy,
did the kids
out having
know
drinks.
what she was doing?
Oh, here's the psychotic part. The kids knew about all of this before I did.
No
So,
way.
yeah, she was prepping them. Like when I was at work and she'd pick them up from school, she was prepping. She even like let him talk to them before she
Unbelievable.
told me anything. I was like, my
So
kids knew about this guy before I did.
yeah, and now you got to think is like this has been planned. Now that you're saying that,
Oh,
like in my mind,
absolutely.
it's like this has been planned. She knew she was going to leave you. It was just hard to leave you because of the 12-year relationship that you guys had, or 12 years married,
Right.
17 years, and but she knew she was going to eventually leave you. So she was prepping the kids to do that to eventually meet this guy.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh my
So,
god.
and she had her mom on board and everything, like to watch the kids and pick them up. She's like, I got it all planned and they're all good to go. And I'm like, are you like, I didn't know any of this. Like
Yeah.
this, like smacked me in the face. Right. So the whole time she's out there, she's talking to the kids. The kids are obviously starting to miss her. They're kind of like, what's going on? This is weird, blah, blah, blah. And she kept lying when she was coming back. Like, oh, I'll come back, Saturday night or Sunday morning or Sunday night. And she just would never show up. So we that Monday morning, I ran to the local court and I got what they call an emergency ex parte, which is basically an expedited order in order for me to get what I need if the judge grants it. So I asked for full custody because of what happened, blah blah blah.
Oh
He
wow.
did not give me full custody, but he did say the kids are not allowed to leave New York State. Great, I'll take it. It's something.
Yeah.
So she came back before she was not allowed to stay here at the house, and then when she got back here, uh, we met at the local park and we talked, and I'm like, what's going on? And she's like, "Oh, I'm confused. I don't know what I want. I'm really like lost in my head, and think I need help, and this, and blah blah. And I don't want to hurt you." And I said, "Are you even like sorry for what you did?" She goes, "I don't regret what I did." She goes, "But I feel bad hurting you." Well,
Yeah.
that doesn't. I mean, that's a horrible answer, right? So, so as she kind of makes up her mind or whatever, she's like, "Can I come see the kids?" And I'm like, "Yeah, you can come see them, but you can't stay at the house. I don't want you staying at the house." So I let her see the kids, and then I said, "Go stay at your mom's house." So she wanted to come back and maintain her routine here at the house. I still had a job to do. I got a business to run. I got things I got to do. And I said, "Okay." I said, "I'll let you come and like take care of Nico and see the kids, but I want you gone when I come home and everything." So she said, "Okay." Um, we did that for like 2, 3 days. And then she started talking to me more and more about how she did not want to be at her parents' house because she did not like the way her mom manipulated her. And I'm like, I get that because her mom's always kind of been that way. She's been kind of like a manipulative person a little bit, like kind of like, dig at you. And then at some point, she wanted to uh, actually stay the night. And I said, if you stay the night, like she was terrified to stay at her mom's, like she's crying and everything. And I'm like she's got no one, she's got no friends, she's got no other family. It's just her and me, her and I, right?
She knows how to get to
So
you
I'm like,
though.
she does exactly. So she's like crying and everything, and I said, "Okay, if you stay the night, you're staying on the couch. I'm sleeping upstairs in our room. I don't want you anywhere near." So anyway, so we started doing that for a little while. So this is probably like maybe 4 or 5 days in. Now, mind you, I did tell her about the ex parte, just so that she knows if she leaves again, she'll get arrested. So we started talking again, and we said that, you know what? I said, "Are you going to stay and work on us?" She said, "Yes, I'm going to stay, work on us. This is the plan, blah, blah, blah." And I said, "Okay, great." I said, and we discussed that we probably should drop the ex parte because we had court in like 2 weeks and it was going to cost us like 4 grand in lawyers. I don't have 4 grand just sitting around at this time, right? Um, an extra 4 grand, I should say. So, anyways, I was like, "Okay, let's drop it." So we signed the paperwork to get it dropped. We go through all the meetings and everything, and there is a process that you have to go see the kid's lawyer before it can be officially dropped. I said, "Okay." That meeting was on, it would have been exactly a week and a half from the day she came back. So it wouldn't have been, she came back on a Monday. It would have been a week from that Thursday. Okay. So a week and a half. And during that week and a half, we had a couple disputes with her mom because her mom wanted to put her in basically like a psych ward or whatever.
The mom
And
wanted to put her daughter, your what,
yeah,
your ex-wife.
yeah,
Oh
yeah,
wow.
like she needs help. She needs to like go get help. This is ridiculous, blah, blah. And I'm like, "Yeah, I agree." But she was crying and super upset and freaking out. And I'm like, "All right, let's just breathe. Let's take a step back and let's just do this one step at a time methodically. Let's not make any rash decisions," right? I was trying to be helpful, trying to be supportive. Um, that Wednesday, she convinced me to make her car payment. Or maybe it was like, well, Wednesday, it was like, yeah, the Wednesday or Thursday, she convinced me to make her car payment, which was a new car that she had scammed me out of, which I can go over that afterwards. And uh, Thursday, we had the meeting up in the kids' court. So we go up there. The kids' lawyer talks to the kids alone, calls us in and says, "These kids are great. They're happy. They're amazing. Everyone's good. I'm happy with dropping the case. I think this is just a hiccup in the road." She literally looks up, looks at my wife, and says, "Are you okay?" And she goes, "Yes, I am now. I'm back." And she's holding our 15-month-old baby, and she's like, "I'm good now. I'm happy. We're gonna move forward. We're gonna fix this." She's like, "Great, no problem. I'll sign it." So she signs it, gives us a piece of paper saying that the ex parte has been dropped. Great. Thursday night, she says, "Hey, I'm going to go to my parents. I'm going to take the kids over. We're going to go have, or no, she was going to go to her parents by herself just to uh, um, decompress and just talk to someone different and just kind of just give us some breathing space." I'm like, "Fair enough. Sounds good. I think that's healthy for you to go and vent to your mom."
And this is the
So,
same day that you guys did the court thing in the morning to drop the ex parte, and then that night she went to
correct,
her mom's. Okay.
correct. So, she said, so she comes back home and she's like, hey, it went great. I had a great time. It felt good to kind of just go and hang out with my mom. We talked about candles and things like that. I'm like, that's great. That's awesome. She goes, oh, and by the way, we're going to go over on Sunday morning because my dad's going to make breakfast for the kids. And I'm like, that sounds fantastic. I think that's great. Now, I don't get along with her dad like super great, like facial, like, hey, shake your hand, kind of keep it simple, but I don't really hang out with him. So she said, if you want, you can go have coffee with your dad, and then I'll go over to um, my parents, and then what we'll do is we'll reconvene back at the house here at noon, and then we were going to go to Plattsburgh to do some shopping. I said, hey, that sounds like a great family day Sunday. You go to your mom's, have breakfast. I'll have coffee with my dad. We'll come back. We'll go to Plattsburgh. We'll make a great day out of it. Like, it sounds like everything's going well. So Sunday morning comes. I stood by the door, gave my wife a hug and a kiss. I think I just made a little peck on the cheek for the kids. Hey, we'll see you later. See you in a couple hours. Go have fun. They all excited about Granddaddy's eggs because he makes really good eggs. And they're like, oh, we're going to have eggs. I'm like, cool, that's awesome, you know. And she left. So I went to town and had coffee with my dad. And about 10 o'clock, I texted her and I said, hey, what time do you plan on being home? Just to confirm. She's like, oh, maybe around noon. I said, it should be around noon. I'm like, okay, well, it seems a little long, but whatever. Okay. So I get here at the house at 12 o'clock sharp with a fresh iced coffee for her. I do the dishes. I vacuum the floor. I pick up the living room, clear the table. I'm just taking care of stuff, just getting it ready. So when she comes home, she doesn't have to worry about chores. Look at my clock and I'm going, it's like 12:30, 12:35. So I text her, no answer. Doesn't even get delivered. I call her, goes straight to voicemail.
Wow.
I'm like, uh-oh. I'm like, there's no way she did this. There's no way she left with the kids. No way. So I called her mom, no answer. I called the house, no answer. I'm getting really nervous right now. It's like 12:45, quarter of one. I'm like, there's no way. I jump in my truck and I start heading that way. Now they only live about 6 miles down the road. As I'm heading that way, I'm looking at every car thinking maybe she's just in bad service or something because there's a little bit of bad service between here and the house. I pull into her parents' house. Her dad, like a rehearsed line, comes out and says, hey, Max, we haven't seen Veronica here at all today, but she just wanted to let you know that the kids are safe.
What? And you just pulled up and then he came out and said something.
I didn't even say anything.
Right.
I literally just pulled up, got out of the truck, and he said, hey, Max,
wow.
The kids never showed up, but Veronica wanted you to know the kids are safe. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And that's when it clicked. She stole my kids.
Dude, and right after you guys went to talk to the kids attorney and drop the ex parte, I mean, oh my
right
God.
Now, the kid's attorney is not happy with her.
I bet.
At all.
It was only a couple days later. I can only imagine.
Yeah. Oh, so
wow.
My life. So in that moment, there's kind of two things that I felt, which was interesting to feel. I felt kind of relieved, and if I can say this, that I was done with the bitch. Yeah. At this point, I'm done. Like this. Yeah. Like this is the final straw. So I felt relief, but then I felt desperation because I just lost my kids. All 4 of my kids are gone, right? So I call my buddy. I go to his house. He lives literally right down the road from me. I'm asking him. I says, just tell me what to do because I can't even think straight. I shouldn't even be driving. That's how upset I am and how like lost I am and crazy what's going on. So I decide to call my parents. They actually come down to my house. My buddy comes down to my house, and we're trying everything. We're trying to get in every tablet that she had, any other phone she has. My sister actually is obviously friends, but my sister is really close to my oldest daughter. And come to find out, they share locations. Now, I never did the whole share location thing because I was, I let the wife do that.
Guys don't do that. Yeah, Sam.
Right, So now I do. So I got locations on everything now. It's like, I know my kids at all times. Like they leave a location, my phone goes off. So she's telling me that she goes, it shows that they're in such and such area, which is about they were so what she had done is she had left here at 9:30. She had drove to Burlington, Vermont, picked up her internet boyfriend, and they were driving down towards like Port Kent or whatever it is, down towards the bridge, and driving across New York, heading to Minnesota.
Wow. And she picked him up, and because she texted you at 10 saying,
Yeah.
oh yeah, everything's fine. I'll meet you.
Yep.
Wow.
Yes.
That's
So
mind blowing.
and to go a step further, she blocked me on her phone and then blocked me on my daughter's phone.
Oh, so you
So I
couldn't get in
wasn't
touch
even
with her. Yep.
I couldn't get in touch with my daughter at all. So that's why my sister Leah could, because Leah was still able to text her and everything. And she did say a couple times, we're fine, we're fine. And of course they were fine-ish in the
Yep.
sense that they weren't in any danger. But the fact is, when you look at it from an outside perspective, she just took my kids and put them in a vehicle with a guy they don't know
Yep.
that my ex-wife met over her sex site.
Yep.
You know, how messed up is that? I mean, anyone in the dating world, which I've come to learn, a respectable person will date someone physically and get to know someone for at least 6 to 8 months before they let them meet their kids.
Right.
She met this guy once, and now she's got her kids in the car with him, right? It was devastating. I had no idea what to do. I had to go on with my life. Now I had to go on with my life in the sense of like I had to move forward. Like I had to do something like the next day. Like what's the next action? What do I do? How do I get my kids back? And again, I had to go back to the courts. I had to file for another ex parte. The judge probably is like laughing at me, going, "What are you, stupid? Like why'd you
Right.
drop it?" Except this time, I remember this clear as day. I filled all the paperwork out. You have to wait for the judge to look it over. It's an hour away from me where the court is. As I'm driving back home, I pulled up to my parents' house, and before I get out, I get a phone call, and I get a phone call from the court, and they say, "Hey, Max, we want to let you know that the judge has granted you full legal custody
Wow.
custody and placement of the kids at this time. You need to come back and sign the paperwork." I'm like, let's
Skirt.
roll. I put that sucker. My parents were like, "What's he doing?" Like, and I had to call. I mean, I think I jumped out first, and I like hugged my mom, crying because I'm like, "Oh my
Definitely.
gosh, I won the small win, right?"
Yeah.
Um, so, but I didn't know if I should just like jump in my truck and head to Minnesota right now, like, or what do I do, right? Now the lawyer, or at least my lawyer, said, or actually, I'll tell you a first short story. So how I got my lawyer was really interesting. She knew about my business. I worked on her RV, and they just came to know me over a time. That literally, when they first found out about this, now mind you, she's retired. She called me up and goes, "Max, I was a lawyer for 30 years, and what happened to you is horrifying." She
Wow.
goes, "I'm going to help you, and you're not going to charge me you're not going to give me a penny."
That's
I'm like,
awesome.
I mean, that just shows you like
Yeah.
that I know I'm a good guy, because it obviously rubbed off on somebody as I'm not some
Right.
asshole. So anyway, she advised me. She says, "Wait before you run out there. I don't want you to get any trouble for like this or this or this. Like, let's get the order in. Let's do all this stuff." I said, "Okay." So Wednesday, my lawyer says, "Yep, they got everything finalized. They're going to send us the paperwork on Thursday." And I said, "Great." So we get the paperwork on Thursday saying I have full legal custody. I can go get the kids, blah, blah. But I'm not able to leave because I have a wedding I have to DJ on Saturday. And I can't ignore it because that's my reputation. That's my bread and butter. These people hired me almost a year ago. Like,
And it's a wedding.
I'm not,
It's not like it's
it's a
something you
wedding.
can cancel and be like, oh no.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. And that's the other part of it, is that I'm not, and I mean no disrespect for anyone who's beginning, but I'm not a beginner DJ. I'm not charging them $150.
Right.
I'm in the town of Lake Placid, New York. We charge top dollar, and I'm one of the top DJs in the area. So I've been on the books with these people for almost a year and a half.
Yep.
So for me to cancel last minute is not an option, right? So I have to I gotta hold it in. I'm like, all right, I gotta do this. To make matters worse, now I gotta wait. The kid's lawyer called and told my lawyer to tell me to go ASAP.
Oh, wow.
I'm trying to, but I'm getting there. the next thing she did on that Wednesday and Thursday is she shut my phone off because we had a phone plan all together under Spectrum. She shut down the Spectrum account, killed my phone. She shut the power off to the house. I slept in this house
Oh
for
wow.
one full night with no power. So she
Jesus.
cut the power, she cut Spectrum, which lost cable, lost internet, everything. I had to go down to my dealership and use all my dealership's stuff just so I could like connect to the world.
Yeah.
I had to go to Plattsburgh that Friday morning, get a brand new phone because I needed a phone. I mean, I couldn't. The one I had now is no good. So it's just complicating the situation. There was just so much going on. Like, I mean, I was in a whirlwind of like, what the hell, right? So um, Saturday comes. I get done the wedding at 10 o'clock. I get back to my house at 11. I empty the van. I load it back up with like blankets, stuffed animals, things for the kids, make them feel comfortable. I grab my mom because she's the only person that she doesn't work. So like everyone else works. I can't pull other people out of work. So I grab her. And then I grab my sister because my kids like her the most. She's my younger sister. She's only like 17, 18 years old, and they connect with her pretty well. So I
Yeah.
said, you can be like the comfort person. So I fly out to Minnesota. It takes me 25 hours straight. We go straight 25 hours all the way to Minnesota. We get out there at 2 o'clock in the morning. We slept in a parking lot. We actually did recon that at 2 o'clock in the morning. I did recon, uh, park the van down the road, walk up with my hood up like this.
Yeah.
I make sure I can see the van, I can see the house, and tangent off really quick, just so you know how did I know where they were? Um, at the beginning of the week, uh, before I went out on Monday or Tuesday, I think it was Tuesday, I actually called a Minnesota private investigator, paid him, I think it was like $400 or $500 to go find where the house is located. And I gave him all the information I had. Luckily, with the internet, you can almost find anything. So I was able to find, all sorts of details about him and find his house. And the private investigator
Jesus.
was able to give me his address, and that's where I found him. So that's where we needed to go. So that's I did the recon. So the next morning, the first thing I did at 8 o'clock, I was in the police station right there in Red Wing, Minnesota. Um, so if anyone out there is in Red Wing, please go take care of business. But anyways, he went to the police department there. They verified all my credentials and my order. They told me that they cannot force anyone to do anything because it's a New York State court order, but they can at least be present. And I'm like, that's all I ask. Just be present. So in case this guy loses his mind, you're a witness.
Yeah. But they're
So
allowing you to go get your kids, right?
there's nothing they can do. They can't
Oh,
technically
okay.
stop me, because
Yeah.
I'm not doing anything wrong, but they can't enforce it. Fair enough. So we get there, we knock on the door. She is surprised as all
I
heck. She's
bet.
like the kids are screaming, they're crying, they're upset. And I'm like, why are they crying, right? So we're like 10 minutes in the conversation. All of a sudden, this big 2500 Dodge comes barreling around the corner, and it's her boyfriend's boss. The officer comes up and says, "Sir, stay next to your truck. No need for you to be here." He's like, "No problem. It's going to be here." So he's standing there. Another 10 minutes goes by, and mind you, this whole time she's talking to the officer, trying to negotiate with him, be like, do I have to let him take the kids, blah blah blah. And the officer's like, listen, I can't make you, but this is a New York State court order. This is a New York State court order. That's all he kept saying, right? And I just stood there like, I didn't say a thing. And of course, my mom, she's all over it with a phone and camera, and my sister's got the phone and the camera, so the whole thing's recorded.
Yeah.
And I was very professional. I was very cool and very professional. All of a sudden, this little dinky little car pulls up, skids on its brakes, pulls on the side of the road, gets out, and there's this tall, lanky MF walking down his lawn, and it looks like he's gonna just go to the back door. And as he's trudging down there, he's like looking at me like this angry look, and I'm like, "What's up?" Just keeping it cool. It's like, dude, like, I'm sure any guy will tell you this, and any mom will tell you this. You mess with your kids, you don't want to mess with that person. Like,
Oh,
I'm sorry, but
absolutely.
you can look at me any way you want and act as tough as you want, but you screw with my kids, I'm gonna kill you.
Yeah.
It's going down, right? You don't ever get between a parent and their child. It's just
Yeah.
that's the way life is, right? which you think he'd understand that because he had 2 kids himself. But anyways, so they have a conversation. All of a sudden, they all go inside and they ask the officer to go inside with them. So the officer comes out. He pulls me to the side. Doesn't want me to record it. Doesn't want me to record nothing. He says they're concerned about abuse.
Oh God.
I mean, yeah. Let's just put some more stuff on top of the cake here. I mean, what
Yeah.
what are you talking about? Like what? Well, the kids are terrified. They don't want to go with you, and this and this and this. And I'm going. There is no abuse. Like you can talk to my mom, my sister. You
Well,
talk
I
to
just got
brother.
full custody with this court order. How if I had abuse, that wouldn't happen.
Right. So they end up letting me take the kids, which was great. The hardest part about it, right? This right here, I'm sure would have drove a lot of guys crazy, and trust me, it took a lot for me to hold myself content or just like back. Was as they all came out, they all gave him hugs and kisses and told him
Oh
they were going to miss
my
him.
God.
They've been with
I
him a
would have been in
week.
jail. Yeah. I
I'm like,
would have
and
killed
then
him.
it's like, and then on top of that, my kids wouldn't even look at me. They
Yeah.
walked by me and they didn't even look at me. So what did they say to them? What did they make them
Right.
believe? What did they do to I just it destroys you as a person.
Yep.
I grabbed my son. I got in the car and she's still talking to the cops. And I'm like, sir, am I able to go? He goes, you could do what you got to do. So I got in my van and I took off like a bat out of hell. And I said, I am getting out of Minnesota and we are not stopping, not even for gas. We're getting out of
Wow.
Minnesota. So we end up coming back all the way back here. Now, the judge did issue that we had to have a court appearance or court order on the basically happened to be that Thursday after I got back. So I got back like Tuesday night, Wednesday morning. So court was Thursday
And
morning.
she needs to appear to this as well?
She
Yep.
hypothetically, yes.
Yeah.
Never showed up.
Wow.
Never showed up. She actually video chatted in.
Oh, okay.
And the judge wasn't happy about that, but they allowed it. And then one of the things that she obviously tried to do was try to what they call do a reverse petition against me. And her reverse petition, and again, I'm sure there's a lot of different words they could have used, but my lawyer and the kid's lawyer and the judge were all like, huh? She's filing it for dominantly aggressive.
Saying you're dominantly aggressive?
Yeah, the judge and we're like, okay, what does that mean? Like, what does that mean? Like,
Yeah.
no one knows what it meant, but that's what they were going with. So that's what they signed the petition for. Later on, they ended up dropping the petition because my lawyer approached her lawyer and said, "Let's cut the crap. Tell me what the charges are. Like, what are you getting him back at for?" And he goes, "Well, he yelled at her." Yeah, I could understand that. But anyways, so this whole thing has just been an absolute mess. Now here's the cherry on top of the cake to add to it all. She didn't come back for 2 months.
Wow.
She stayed out there for an additional 2 months.
And didn't see her kids, obviously, for 2 months. Wow.
Did not see her kids at all. Now, me again, being the kind guy that I was, I'd still let her occasionally, not a lot, talk to them on the phone. Now,
Yeah.
the couple things the judge did do for me, which I was super thankful, both my lawyer and the judge, was she was to have zero contact with the kids via any device except for my phone.
Yep.
If she contacts the kids outside of my phone, it's an automatic 180 days in jail.
Holy shit.
If her boyfriend contacts the kids, it's 180 days in jail for her as well.
Wow.
Now, here's the messed up part. Okay, so we're talking about a woman who is I wouldn't say, now I'm not going to use the word phenomenal anymore. I used to.
Yeah.
But I'm going to say who was a moderately successful mother for 12 years. I never had any question about her mothering ever. Totally respected it. I'm one of those guys that respects a mom has a special place as a mother. That's what they do, right? Now she is giving on Monday when I drove away. She texted and forwarded the contact information for her boyfriend and her boyfriend's friend to my oldest daughter's phone.
So they're going through a third party to contact with them. The
So at
boyfriend's
well no
friend.
so no so they were actually this is on the day we left Minnesota, so because she was obviously still texting her daughter,
Oh, yep.
my ex-wife was texting her daughter. So when she left, she said, hey, goodbye, I love you, I'll miss you, I'll see you soon. She also texted her boyfriend contact information and her boyfriend's friends contact information to my daughter's phone. And from Monday to Thursday, because that was the days between, the middays before court, the boyfriend was texting my daughter. He was a 42-year-old man texting my 12-year-old daughter in the matter of those 4 days from Monday to Thursday.
This was the friend, or
This
the
was
boyfriend as well.
the boyfriend,
Yeah, the boyfriend. Okay.
the boyfriend. And nothing bad was said, but still not cool.
Right.
And that's when the judge said, yeah, we're not doing that.
Good.
Zero contact. If there is any contact from anybody other than the ex-wife or the wife through my phone to the kids, 180 days in jail. Bottom
Yep.
line.
That's unbelievable.
Um,
Wow.
yeah. So there's a lot of other little details, I'm sure, that I probably could go into, but that's pretty much a gist of what happened for me. I don't, I definitely, I'm definitely not playing the woe is me game, and I'm definitely not playing the thing there. But there is, I think I do deserve time to feel like shit.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
It sucks, to go through that, and I was sold on the idea of being with this woman for the rest of my life, and I would have done anything for her. And you know, one of the analogies that I actually thought of, that for some reason just came to my head, and I feel like it's the perfect analogy of what I was going through. And if this analogy helps anybody who's listening, maybe it'll be a wake up call that maybe something needs to change. In my head, I picture myself walking down this dirt road, and I'm carrying this heavy backpack. And in this backpack are these heavy boulders, these heavy rocks. And as I walk down the road, I look up and I see my wife standing on the side of the road with a heavy rock. And I want to help her. So I go over and I'm getting ready to grab the rock, and she drops it on the ground. Instead of handing it to me, she just drops it. I bend down on one knee. I pick the rock up. I put it in my backpack. I grab her hand, and we both walk down the path together. And then, as fast as a blink of an eye, there she is again, down the road, walking by myself. She drops the rock. I bend down, pick it up, put it in my backpack, grab her hand. We continue on. And this is the analogy of me constantly doing this. This is what I feel like my marriage was. And for the longest time, I felt like that maybe that was okay. Like that's my job as the man, as the protector, the provider. Um, but now that I'm out of it, I do see that as much as I wanted and would have loved to continue to treat my wife like a goddess, an angel, and everything else, there's nothing wrong with her. I don't know, getting a backpack herself and carrying a couple rocks herself. You
Yeah.
know, I'm not saying it has to be as heavy as mine, but I think that teamwork wasn't there.
Yeah, you
Um,
definitely need teamwork, but she's the one who, at the end of the day is going to miss out because, she was bored, she found some guy. It's going to be, I'm assuming they're still together now and she's still living down there.
Actually, no, she actually came back on December 18th, because we actually had an actual trial, that she didn't want to miss. And she actually showed up, and apparently they're still long distance dating. They
Mm,
do a long distance relationship. And that's the other crazy part. We actually came to an agreement on how we're gonna, split the kids up. We had agreed that she could have the kids 2 days a week after school, and every Saturday from 10 to 7, all supervised,
yep.
right? And we agreed to everything. there was a couple other things in the agreement that we had talked about, and we're like, okay, cool, we're good to go. That was December 18th. They have still not signed the order. Her and her
Oh
lawyer
wow.
have still not signed the order
Which
agreeing to
which
it.
which also means they still haven't been able to see the kids, right?
They have, because in the original court order it said that she could only contact the kids through the phone,
Yeah.
but on one of the lines at the bottom it said that um, upon her arrival back in New York, she can have visitations based on my availability and
Gotcha.
supervised.
Yeah.
So it's basically whenever I feel that I can make it over, that I can let her see the kids. I do not let her inside this house.
Yeah.
Everything of hers is gone. Like, we took out everything. And right now I'm the one trucking the girls over there to her parents' house so she can see them.
Yeah.
Um, but we just, and I'm trying to be as civil as possible. And this is the part that sucks. I know a lot of guys go through this, and I feel bad for anyone who has to go through this, and I'm not enjoying it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
um, um, she, she's delusional. She's suffering from postpartum depression. I think she's suffering from early, like a midlife crisis or identity crisis. Like, she's going through a lot. She was on antidepressants. She was on Xanax. She was smoking a ton of pot. I mean, she was literally doing everything. Now, I'm not saying all those are contributors, but when you put them all together, I'm sure there's not a good chemical in balance there. I'm sure something's wrong, and that could be playing the fact of it. So she's still doing a lot of that, and she's so delusional about what she thinks. She thinks, from my understanding and from my interpretation of what's going on, that the courts are going to give her the kids. Like, they're
Right.
going to give her the kids, and she's going to go back to Minnesota. So just last night, I just found out there are some after effects that have affected my kids, and that's one of the other hard things that I've had to do, is I've had to learn how to identify the issues that the kids are going to come into because of the situation. And one of them is my middle child, my second daughter. She now suffers from abandonment.
Yeah.
She's terrified. If I leave her in the car and to go inside to the store for more than 10 minutes, she's freaking out. She's like, "Where's dad? Where's he going? Is dad coming back?" She's freaking out.
That is
So I
exactly
actually,
my 10-year-old kid. 11-year
mine's
old
10,
now, but yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mine's 10. She's going through that same thing. And so I got her a phone. So if I ever have to leave her in the car, she can always text or call me,
Yeah.
always. And that's been extremely helpful. But anyways, last night, like, this part like broke my heart. So last night I went out. I dropped the kids off in the house. Now, I'm technically supposed to be inside with them, but I feel like the kids are always on edge. Like, they can't relax around their mother. They can't enjoy her. So I said, "To tell you what, I'm going to go sit in the van." The whole point of the supervision is that she doesn't drive away with them, right?
Right.
I mean, that's the whole point. So I'll go sit in the van, watch the vehicles, and you guys enjoy yourself. You guys just have a good time. I'm in the van not even 10 minutes, and my daughter calls me and she says, "Dad, I'm in the bathroom. Can you hear me?" And she's whispering. I'm going, "What? Why are you whispering? What's going on?" She goes, "I'm hiding in the bathroom. Can you hear me?" I'm like, "Yeah, yeah." She says, "Mom is talking to my oldest daughter, Delilah, telling her she needs to." Because Delilah was saying how she was upset that Dad yelled at her to do the dishes. Big whoop, right?
I
She
know
says, "Oh
exactly where
well."
you're going with this.
She says, when you go to school, you need to call the cops or call your lawyer and tell them that you're afraid to be at home and that you're scared to go home to your father."
I hope she got in
So
trouble for that. Not your daughter. I hope
I,
your ex got in trouble for that.
she's going to
Oh, this was
so
the other day.
because this literally was just last night.
Oh, okay.
So I called my lawyer. We documented it all. I called the kids lawyer this morning. I told her all about it. I wrote it in my piece of paper. I have a I have a Google Notes document here that's called Nightmare Timeline, and I have the everything all noted down. I have the date, the date, the description, and it's cool
Yep.
because when you use Google, you can do it on your laptop, you can do it on your phone. So
Right. It
every
connects
time I
everywhere.
Exactly. So
Yep.
all these text messages where my daughter would text me and say, "Hey, Dad, it smells like pot in here. Can you come get us?" I would take that text, I would snapshot it with the
Yep.
date and put it in the PDF right there. So all I got to do is print it off and it's all right there.
And to do that
Um,
in the beginning of, because you're going to be going through this for a while, I assume,
oh,
but to
yeah.
do what you're doing now is so huge because some people wait and wait and wait. And then when it comes time for court, they have to go through all their text messages and all their stuff and look at all their
Yep.
notes, or they haven't even wrote down notes. And to do that now
Yep.
is, it sucks, but it's going to be helpful.
It's so beneficial. And that's the thing. Like there's like, and I saved like my buddy, Dane, he's a really good friend of mine. He was between him and my other buddy, Corey, they were both my life saviors. I mean, so one has gone through it, the other hasn't, but like they both played their part. Like my buddy Corey, he's been through this, so he's like, Max, document this, do this, do this, do this. Like he said
Yeah.
he's the one that told me about the ex parte. Like he's the one that did all this stuff. So like that's what I did, that's what I did, that's what I did. And my buddy Dane, he was the tech side. He was like, Max, he literally went online and saved everything. He was I don't know how he did it, but he did it. He went through and he found a Pinterest account with her, another one of her aliases, saving photos of wedding photos of what she wants her and his wedding to look like.
Jesus.
He found photos of her butt naked
Oh,
online on multiple sites. Ready for this? For the past 4 years.
wow.
I'm just
Oh
like,
my God. And it's so hard because men and women show their love differently. Even when you were saying, like, you go and you bring her coffee every morning, but you're also working, providing. And it's like, to you, I know you said, you look back and you're like, could I have done something different, or could I have shown love a different way? But it's like, for men, especially when you're in that entrepreneur, you work, 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 work. You,
mhm,
in your mind, I think like that's you loving and caring for your family, your four kids, and like,
yes.
you going to get coffee, driving to the store. That's you showing love. But
Mhm.
I'm assuming just wants like to hang out, to go out, maybe more affection. I don't know, but
Well, that's the thing. I think there's so many. I think that the nicest slash baddest way to say this is she was just a friggin' mess, to be honest with you,
right.
because there's times where I want to show affection, but it was one of those typical those, and I'm sure every guy has seen this on TikTok and Facebook where the girl, you're in the mood and you go touch your girl and she's like, oh, I got a headache, or oh, I'm tired, or oh, there's always an excuse, right?
Yeah.
She was the queen of that. Like there was always an excuse. So like you try to show her affection, didn't want it. You try to buy her something, she get upset or not get upset. Or there was multiple things. Like there was one time, I'm trying to think here, at some point during the whole mess, she had mentioned somewhere about how I never helped vacuum or never did the dishes. And I'm saying to myself, every time I did the dishes, you yelled at me because I didn't do them your way. So I didn't do the dishes.
Right.
Every time I'd vacuum, I'd sit down, you'd get up, grab the vacuum, and literally do what I just did. So it's like, what's the point? And I've seen other guys justify this, saying, we tried. We
Yeah.
are trying. But when you go behind us and you do, if you're not happy with what we did, then why do we want to keep trying? Um and it just sucks. Like I've literally learned the last 4 years, whatever she's gone through, um, I don't want to say it definitely wasn't me that pushed her away. There's probably things about me that I did that probably didn't help, but I think it was a lot with her,
Yeah.
and that's something that I have to try to accept, because I mean, my dedication to our relationship was, I mean, I'm you know, the sad part now is I feel like I'm just a stat. I'm just part of the stats now, just another single father, with a bunch of kids, and it sucks. It
Yeah,
just
it's
sucks.
tough, man, especially because you were all in, like, and she'll never
100%.
find that again. She will never, her boyfriend, I'm sure they won't be together long. And I'm sure I want you to hit me up if this ever happens, but if she ever tries to get back with you and, you know what I mean? Like tries to be like,
Yeah.
I really thought it over and blah, 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 because I think that's going to happen. And she's a fucking mess, but
I'm it's kind of funny because I'm like, I'm excited for that day, but
yeah,
I'm nervous for that day. I'm excited because I can't wait to be like, fuck you,
Yeah.
peace out,
Yeah.
get the hell out of my life. But I'm nervous about that day because um, it's the day that I'm gonna have my, I guess, revenge to be like, no, like go away, like I don't ever want you in my life again,
Right.
type
Like you're
thing.
over it. Yeah.
Yeah, and it does suck, and part of the reason why I actually go outside as well when I drop the kids off is because I don't want to be there. I don't want to be in the same room as her.
Yeah.
She, you know, the, part of I think I'm not afraid to admit this, but like everyone's like, oh, you got to love your wife for who she is. I'm like, I do, but I'm sorry, but looks does help a lot. I'm sorry, but so when I say that she was gorgeous, she really was. She is a beautiful blonde bombshell. I mean, how the hell I scored a woman like her is beyond me. So I felt extremely honored to have someone as beautiful in my life. And, I've told people all the time, she made my life better 100%. I mean, I could just be another guy in the crowd, and she comes walking up, standing next to me, and I'm a rock star because this is my wife. I mean, she's my trophy. So I was enthralled with everything of who she was. I mean, and it sucks not to be able to have that. And the sad world now of the dating world is like, man, there's not that much out there that it's like I so there's I was telling my cousin this, guys in my position, there's a couple things we do. We drink, do drugs, or we chase women. I mean, that's what the guys do. And I don't really drink very much, so that wasn't a thing. I've never done drugs, not my kind of thing. So I tried chasing women. And I'll tell you, I did that for about a month, and I was like, yeah, ain't doing that anymore. That's just not a this is not this no, I'm good. Thank
Yeah.
you, I'm all set. So yeah, that's but yeah, that's my story, man. It's been a roller coaster. It's it's I don't know. There's just no words to talk about. What can I say that's different that someone else might not see? I mean, everyone's going through something similar, and there's variations of the same story. I've talked to a number of guys who have all been through the same exact story. And the
Yeah.
ironic part is I'm a wedding DJ, so I see people getting married all the time, and I'm just now thinking to myself, watch her.
Right. Right.
It's like,
Pulling them to the
um
side.
it's one of those things where, like, you know I think we could all sum this up with, the internet and the phones are a dangerous thing,
Yes.
especially for women. I'm not saying all guys, but I will say most men in this world are I use the term men versus boys. There are more
Yep.
men in this world that are loyal, that are working their butts off, and they're doing right by their family. And there's a lot of women out there who don't see that, and they're too logged in their phones, they're too lost in the internet, and these big boys take advantage of that,
Yep.
and it's destroying marriages. And about a month ago, maybe 2 months ago, I was saying to myself that, yeah, I'm optimistic enough. I definitely want to get married again. It's been about 5-6 months since this happened, and now I'm kind of like, I don't know if I believe in marriage anymore,
Yeah, I
because
mean, you don't
it's
want to put yourself
it's
through that. Do you have to split any of like do you have to, obviously you don't pay child support, but like alimony or split the house or anything?
So fortunately enough, we were renting. We were renting this house.
Yeah.
So she's obviously not paying any rent. The biggest, I think that the two biggest things that are going to come into play are, one is, obviously once we fill out the divorce paperwork, I think especially if she doesn't get any kind of custody, I think her paying some type of child support, I think, is going to be um, a potential. Maybe I'm not expecting it, honestly. If she
Right. I
doesn't,
can
then
only
I don't
imagine
really
though, four
care.
kids. I feel like they
I,
would make her
I would
pay
I would
child
feel
support.
that it would be helpful.
Yeah.
Be the first time she actually contributed financially. Uh, so that would be the first thing, and then the second thing would be, there's really not much to split in the sense of materialistic things, but the one thing I am happy about is, because there was so much debt acquired by the both of us when we were married, she gets half the debt,
Oh, nice.
which
Yep.
I am stoked about. And the cool thing is that
Win.
her name is nowhere on the businesses, which is great.
Oh,
So the
nice.
businesses are 100% mine. And um, do I have a little more time to tell you a short story?
Oh yeah. Yep.
So one of the many things that she did, and this is kind of reason why I found out about her how bad her lying was and how much of a narcissist she was and all these things. Her grandfather passed away 2021, maybe no, it was April of 2021, I think it was. And that whole time, at some point, the topic had come up that we were going to get some type of inheritance. Now, he was a very wealthy man, and I was like, sure, great, like I'm down for it. But at the same time, I'm like, that's not my family member. I love the guy to death. I respect him more than I respect anybody. He was a great dude, but that's not my that's not my world. Like, you guys figure it out. If we get something, great. If we don't, then that's fine. Okay. So as time went on, she kept wanting me to buy certain things. And her go to answer was, I'll pay you back when we get our money. I'll pay you back
Yeah.
when we get our money. And I was like, okay, sure. So one of the things that we did is when we found out we were having our youngest, she said she wanted a newer vehicle because one we had was too small. I'm like, okay, fair enough. Let's find something used. She goes, no, no, no. She goes, I'm getting the money from my grandfather. Apparently we're supposed to get $200,000. Wow. Okay, cool. She says, I want to get a new car. I'm like, okay, well, let's sell this one, which we did. We sold it for 12,000. And I says, we'll put that down on the payment on a new car. She goes, sounds great. Uh, we sold the car. We were waiting like 2 months. Within the 2 months, she had spent all of that 12,000. She
No.
bought this, bought that, and I'm going, how are you paying for this? Where'd you get this money from? Or how are you going to pay this back? And she'd always have an excuse. And again, me
Yeah.
being the blind,
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, sure, okay, whatever. Um, so then the time comes where the car's coming in. She says, hey, can I borrow money from the business and then I will pay you back? And I'm like, I really don't want to do that. But because the business was doing really good, I was like, okay, I can let you borrow the 12,000, but I need to know when the inheritance is coming in. Oh, it's coming in like September. It'll be here in September. It'll be here in September. Are you sure? Yes, my mom said. Okay, okay. If that's what your mom said, and you're saying it, then there must be some validity to this, right? And of course, I feel awkward. I can't just walk up to her mom and be like, "Hey, by the
Of
way,
course.
you can't do that."
Yeah.
I have to go on her trust. I get to the business the day we're supposed to pick up the car, and sitting on the desk is a check for $25,000, and I'm like, "What? Why is this? Why does it say 25 on here?" Oh, I needed a little more to get my payment down. That's that's like double. That's
Right. Right.
double than what we
Not a
talked
little
about.
more.
She goes, oh yeah, but my money will
Wow.
be here in September. Um, okay. You really didn't ask me. We didn't really talk about it. But in her head, she was part owner, so she didn't have to ask me.
Right.
And I'm like, yeah, but that's not how this works. Like you don't just take money when you want. Again, blind husband here. So I was like, all right, well, okay, this is for our child, this is for our family. I will find a way to recoup it. I will bust my butt, and I will make this happen. Come September, we have the car, beautiful car. She wants it in her name, her title, her registration, my insurance. I'm like, why is it in just your name? She goes, well, I want it to be my car because everything's in your name. Like your truck's in your name, your van's in your name, your other car's in your name, this is in your name. And I said, okay, I can kind of see that you want to feel like you're, again, a human being.
Yeah.
Like this is your car, the family car, the wife's car. Fair enough. I'll let you I'll let you do that. Now, mind you, I'm always down to share. Like this
Yeah.
is my wife. Like I want a name to be on both of us to be on everything. But there's things that she just said, no, just put your name on or whatever. And I was like, okay, whatever. So I got frustrated one day and I said, I'm so frustrated with not knowing where the money is. So I called her mom up and I said, can you please come down to the dealership and have a conversation with me? So she comes down. She goes, yeah, what's going on? I said, things are getting tight. I'm short some money. And Veronica and I were having some talking and everything. And I said, I kind of got a personal question I got to ask you about. Please forgive me for asking because this is not my place, but I need to know because it involves what's going on in my life. Are we getting inheritance? She goes, what are you talking about? I says, well, your father, your father passed away and he left, from what I heard, a bunch of money. And Veronica told me that we're getting inheritance. She goes, I don't know what you're talking about. No, you're not getting anything.
Jesus. First of all, what an uncomfortable conversation to have with with
Right. And
yeah.
I'm like, she goes, well, how much did she say you're getting? And I go, 200. She goes, not even close. Now, of course, I think she's lying. She goes, I barely got 100. I think she's 100% lying to me. But I'm like, she's like, yeah, you're not getting anything. So I'm literally out $25,000.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it all was a lie from the beginning or if it turned into a lie. I don't know. But she destroyed the trust and relationship, and of course, part of the business. Um,
Right.
it was an absolute mess, and it was just on top of everything else going on in my life. And then she obviously goes and does this, which was the worst time of the year because this is the time of year that I would normally towards the winter parts, especially in the colder months up here in the Adirondacks, everyone does a lot of hustle work between August and November because you
Yeah.
got to save up enough money to get through the winter because it's so darn cold up here and it's hard to find work. I wasn't able to focus on that. We had a new garage going up. I had to stop construction on that. Just the domino effect of everything that happened. And, I could go on for hours talking about the effects of what she did and how it's changing our life and it's changing the kids' life. And it's affecting everything. It's this domino effect. And now I have to try and find a way to rebuild myself, rebuild my life, rebuild everything, and try to save my business and do this and do this. And it's I give a lot of props to any single fathers out there that got more than one or two kids. I mean,
Right. I mean, a single father of
it's
four
yeah,
and pretty
it's
much a newborn. You said, 15
yeah,
months. So that's,
yeah.
Jesus.
It's a beast. It's a bear, and I'm going through all of the typical crap that people tell me about. For example,
Yeah.
the kids through the sick season. Are you familiar with the sick season?
Oh, yeah.
The season of where everyone's sick for like a month straight. Guess what? That's all my fault apparently. We went to a doctor's office, a doctor's appointment, and she told the doctor that, well, they're sick because he's not keeping the house clean enough and they're not getting enough
Oh,
rest.
God.
I'm like, are you serious? Like, you were a
Yeah.
mom for 12 years. You know about the sixth season. It's just like there's so many things, and it's just like, the hardest right now, the thing that I'm going through, and I've gone through a couple different stages, but the stage that I'm going through right now is I've never been in this position before in my life, obviously, but I've always been such a positive person that when I wake up, I jump up out of bed and I can start my day. Now, when I wake up, I literally could lay there for like an hour,
Right. Cause you're like, fuck, I got to deal with all the shit going
just
on today.
just everything that comes to your head, you're dreading it all, and you're just like, time to get started.
Yeah. 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 I started
But
posting a lot of motivational things on my podcast just for that reason. Cause I
yeah,
was kind of in the same boat, but like, I listen to a lot of like Eric Thomas or like Kobe Bryant motivational stuff.
yeah.
And you gotta get back to getting up and you know what I mean? Like getting happy again.
There's a great motivational video on YouTube of um, a Navy general, Navy admiral, I think he is, and he goes on the whole speech. If you have a chance, check it out. It's really cool. But he starts his speech off with the first thing you need to do every day is get up and make your bed.
Yeah.
And that's something they learn in boot camp and the whole nine yards. And I'll fast forward to the story. He talks about how through the course of the day or through life it gets tough. But when you come home at night or you get done for the day and whatever else, the first thing you get to do is lay down in a made comfortable bed. That was the first thing you accomplished. He also said, if you can accomplish that, and then you start another thing, and you start another thing. And that's literally been the hardest thing for me to do, is to get up and just be like, where do I start? Like, I don't like, and it sucks because like, if any other guys can relate to this out there, I'm sure they can. And if there's any advice I could say to them, I would say, I don't know even what I say. I would say stay strong and you're not alone, because right now, the hardest part for me is when the kids go to bed. I don't want to tear up. when when the kids go to bed and the house is quiet and I sit here by myself.
Yeah.
It's sorry. You sit here by yourself. There's it's still early for me. I'm sure, talk to me in a year from now, I'll probably be running a third business on the side, but but right now, right now, um it's tough. My kids are in bed by 8:30.
Yeah.
There's times I'm in bed by 8:39 because
Right, right.
there's nothing to
And it
do.
sucks. Yeah, nothing to do. There's no one to share, your day with, or if something went good, it's like, you're just telling
Yeah.
yourself that. So yeah, no, I completely got you, man.
It's alone. It sucks, and I'm not an alone person. I've always liked having a partner. I'm a relationship guy, so I always like having that partner. So it's tough. So it's right now that, with everything going on, it's going to be a battle. It's going to be this whole thing, and I don't have time for this. I don't have time
Right.
to deal with all this crap. Like, I'm trying to run my life. I'm trying to grow my life. But I have to deal with it, for my kids. But yeah, it's a whirlwind. It's a whirlwind. It's crazy. I was super excited to come on and talk to you about it because I am uh, I love talk therapy. Um, I love podcasts. I love talking to microphones. I'm an audio guy, as you could tell. So this is in my wheelhouse. So it was really cool for me to come on and talk about this. And, I have no idea if any of my story will help anybody, because I know that sometimes it's, your story is your story. It only
Yeah.
affects you the way you affect it. And sometimes hearing someone else's story doesn't really help you. It just makes it, relatable. Like, oh yeah, you're going through the same, shit show I'm going through. Great. We're both in this
Yeah.
hole. But, but, I want to be a motivational speaker someday. And I can tell you right now, there's days I find it hard to come up with my own motivation. It's hard to find that. Yeah, I don't know. It's crazy, man. It's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, one thing that I took away from this, that I really, really think other dads will or should, consider is, if something like this is happening to you, definitely go file for that ex parte. I wouldn't even have thought
Yeah,
about that. And for you to do that immediately, I mean, it sucked that you took it off, but
yeah,
luckily it worked out for you. But that's something that, you weren't divorced yet. You weren't really going through the separation. Like, she had just taken your kids, so that you immediately said, let me go file that, which was the right thing to do.
absolutely. That's probably the one advice I'll say. Trust your gut. Trust your gut. If you feel it, just do it. Don't even hesitate. Like, and that's what I did when I went up and signed the ex parte the first time. Like, I cried in the office. Like, I felt like I was betraying my wife, but yet she's the
Yeah.
one out there screwing another dude in Minnesota. How am I betraying my wife? But this wasn't about her. This was about the protection for the kids, and that's what I should have done. And then the fact that, you know, if for anyone who doesn't know about the ex parte, and if you do learn about it, the beautiful part is that you can get it. It doesn't hurt the relationship at all. So let's say for some reason you guys do have a problem and one of you gets the ex parte. Big deal. If you get back together, just keep it until it falls off. Like, you don't have
Yeah.
to get rid of it. You don't have to bring a lawyer to represent you in court. You can do it yourself. Like, leave it in place, because that's where I messed up. I dropped it, and if I hadn't have dropped it, then she could have been arrested for kidnapping.
Yeah. The tough
Um,
thing is, she
you know,
sweet talked you. She knew how to
well,
talk
that's
you up. So
absolutely,
yeah.
absolutely. That's but trust your gut. I mean, that's probably the biggest thing
Yeah.
I'd say is, if you feel it, um, you know, I will admit I was definitely one of those guys that, I don't want to use the word I was a manly man, but I was definitely more of those guys that didn't really do a lot of emotions. I was definitely more like, keep it to yourself, things like
Yeah.
that. And which I think is okay to a certain extent, but at the same time, I think that, you know, as just humans, you need to admit to yourself sometimes that, you know what, this is what I'm feeling, whether it's right or wrong. I feel like this is the right thing to do. I have to do it. So trust your gut. 100%
Yeah.
trust your gut.
Awesome, man.
But
Well, thank you so much for sharing your story. It's up there in one of the one of the best ones we've had.
really,
So
no kidding.
yeah, no, there's only a couple other ones, but this one was pretty. You just don't hear it much, and you
Yeah.
especially don't hear the woman leaving.
Yeah.
So yeah, this was this, and emotionally for you, I can only imagine how frustrated you were.
It's yeah, it was definitely a test of everything, you know, and it
Yeah,
really, you know, I'm definitely trying to go to therapy. I really haven't noticed it working yet, but I'm going to continue it. Talk therapy has been helpful for me a lot, so it's definitely that's been helpful. But
yeah,
um, yeah, I've I just I can't believe this happened. I I'm in a small town in New York, dude. Like this stuff doesn't happen here.
right,
Like the biggest crime we have is someone got drunk and threw a bottle at a car going by. I mean, like it doesn't like this is a small town stuff. We don't like you don't hear about these things. So like for this to happen and you know the other you know the other crazy thing is you know because of who I am as a person, I have a pretty good reputation within the community. So like everyone around town's like, what? Like
right. When they hear about it,
really?
yeah,
Like, are you? This is a joke. I'm like, no, it's not a joke.
yeah.
But so yeah, but well, I definitely appreciate it. Thank you so much for letting me come on and kill a lot of your time. I appreciate it. It's awesome.
No, no, this was awesome, man. Thank you so much.